welcome to AMASV Podcast episode 4 called Pride in the Media. My name is Hanedi Kraja and I am the social media director at AMASV. June is Pride Month, and in this episode we will be exploring the LGBTQ plus community representation in film and advertising and what companies can do to support the LGBTQIA plus community in the future. And to give us some insight on the topic, please welcome Tyler DiChiara. Hey Tyler.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. As an advocate for those in the acting community and the transgender community, Tyler has made it his personal mission to let everyone know that they're loved and can do anything that they set their minds to, regardless of who you are and where you come from. Tyler is an actor, most known for his recent portrayal as Kai in the film Relish. So Tyler, please tell the audience about yourself and how you use your position as an actor to play a part in giving the LGBTQ plus community a voice in the media.
Well, thank you for having me. It was an honor to be in Relish, to even be a thought in their brain for auditioning, and just the fact that they wanted an actual trans man as the lead. I felt like that alone was the stepping stone in the industry itself. You know, it was an independent film, yes, but all independent films are kind of 50-50 chances. You know, it can go really well and it can go, you know, it can just be something that you just remember and look back on and smile. But Relish became something very big for a lot of people. It reached the communities that it needed to. And I think just that alone really, I think, helped the community, even if it wasn't in maybe Pose's standards like on Netflix, but it did hit the homes of heart and of people that I never even knew, you know, like I remember you saying that you connected with Kai, and in my brain, I only thought, oh, only trans people will only connect with my character. But no, so many people really connected with him because he was such an outcast. So I all parts of the community, the LGBTQI community really did connect with him. And I felt so honored that I reached more of the community than I thought I did at first. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I really loved your performance, and as you said, I could resonate. So, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be able to resonate as well. So, Relish is a film about a teenage social media influencer and 4 teenage outcasts who escape a private treatment facility led by a rebellious transgender young man, Tyler. And the teens go on a life-changing road trip, and they discover that they have a lot more in common than they ever imagined, which they really do, and that's why I love the film so much. And both the trailer and the film will be linked in the description of this video if you'd like to see Tyler's portrayal of Kai. So Tyler, can you please talk about your portrayal of Kai and the message that you conveyed to the LGBTQ community with your performance?
I believe that performance really needed to be shown because growing up, I really never saw a masculine trans man on film and really portraying his actual story. I've seen some shows where they portrayed men, but not in the way that they should. Like women would be portraying them, and that's not it. Like there are trans man actors out there, then you have to give them the spotlight because, granted, yes, someone could play the part and, you know, do a decent job. But when you got someone who actually has the story behind it, the emotion, the trauma, the impact, everything, you know, why not go for the right choice and the proper choice? So I think just Kai's performance being shown, especially just showing his struggles, his vulnerabilities, his braveness, because he's alone in a big world that seems to be so negative on him. And I think everybody needs to see that, like, you control your life and your happiness, and no one else dictates that. And if anybody should do that, then, you know, don't have them in your life. And if something is keeping you together and with that toxic people surrounding you, you just got to know how to stand up for yourself and how to not let their words get to you, because it can be taxing. It can be a lot when you're surrounded by negativity all the time. And especially just getting those messages out there through the performances will help parents understand, will help grandparents understand, will help people understand themselves probably, because, you know, seeing someone go through that, I think, you know, if someone's confused about where they are in life and they see that and they're like, oh, maybe that's why I keep crying in the mirror when I take off my shirt. Maybe that's why I can't really, discuss my feelings that well, because everybody just shuts me down. So Kai was definitely needed, because I've never seen someone else like Kai be portrayed in film before. And when I have seen trans people on film, it'd be trans women. And, that representation needs to be put out there also, like hardcore, like, yes, keep going. I want to see more Pose, and I want to see more films for especially Black trans women, because they need to be represented right now. But also I can't wait to see a lot more trans masculine men out there, like Chella Man in the DC universe, that he was recently portrayed as a superhero, and he's also deaf. So he was a disabled trans man in a film that was a huge step also, to see him in a film. And just, it's like, I just see more and more men like me coming to the light and acting, and it's really, really something to behold. And I just, not to toot my own horn, it's just, after Relish, it's just, I see all these trans men kind of coming to the light. And it's like, granted, they probably have never seen it, but it's just, the timeline was just very, very close in a way. Like once I was in Relish and I just saw how that representation is going to be portraying everybody, and how Kai's going to be so loved by everyone, it just started this domino effect of this industry wanting to see more of our stories. And I'm so happy for that. So yeah, Kai definitely needed to show his story, and I think Relish was the best way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't feel like you're tooting your own horn at all, because we're always moving forward, and I feel like more people have seen Relish than you think. But so I feel like also people also follow the pattern, because it's something to sort of look up to. And I totally agree with you there, that people need to be able to see like who they are sometimes on screen, to be able to like realize it like in their own mind. And I think it was really powerful that you went ahead and you put your personal emotions into the film, and you really played it. And just like you said, it was like all you. And so it sort of just flowed out of you. I think that's really important. And I think that's why you portrayed the role so well, is because like you were actually that person. And so people need to sort of see that in the media, I feel. And I just can't wait to see more of it represented in film. As I was doing research for this project, I was just ecstatic about what I was learning. More and more coming to light, because we all need to be kind to each other. And I feel like the more people learn about it, the more accepting that they will be, and they should be accepting.
Yeah, especially since Justin portrayed Kai as not the victim. And I know in a lot of media portrayals, all trans men and women were just portrayed as this victim, and Kai was just so strong, and that's what made me really love the script. And I was like, I'm going to portray him. I am him. And that's why I've been in every situation in that movie. Like, that was like, especially the fighting scene in the bathroom, that was, I was able to kind of direct it a little bit, the choreography of it, because I've been in a situation like that. Luckily, it wasn't two guys, it was just one. And, I had to fight back, and I had to do something. Sadly, some men and some people just can't, and Kai froze. And I feel like that's something that Kai would do. Because me, Tyler, I would go bonkers and break some bones. But in the heat of all, he froze, and he didn't know what to do, because that's his reality all the time. And he's probably dealt with that multiple times before. So it's just another, parents need to see that, because, we're just trying to live our lives, but there are people out there who think of us as targets for no reason. We're just human beings just trying to live our lives. And then you got these people who are just trying to butt their way in and like, no, you're doing things wrong because I feel uncomfortable. It's like, okay, I'm not going to change my life because you're uncomfortable. I'm comfortable with myself. And if that makes you uncomfortable, just walk away and don't look at me. You're cool. Kai was a strong character that needed to be, he needed to have that spotlight.
I agree. And there's always this narrative of being who you are, and that applies to everyone, especially the LGBTQI community, who you guys are so powerful, and I'm such an advocate for you, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about this. But regarding the bathroom scene in the film, it's something that really surprised me because my eyes weren't really open to it before. So I was very happy to see that. Not happy to see that those situations happen, but happy to see it brought to light because I was very surprised. And I know that gendered bathrooms are a huge issue sometimes for some people. And that's why, so some places have gender neutral bathrooms. And I feel like that's where we're really advancing. And I hope that we can advance even more than that.
I believe we are, for sure. For sure.
What kind of an impact do you hope that your performance as Kai will make to the LGBTQ community overall? And how do you hope that your character continues to inspire people as the years go on?
I hope that my performance just sticks with people and just, maybe even inspires some actors who never thought about acting before. I always told myself, I can never be an actor. I would never be able to memorize that script. How could someone do that? But then I did it, and it was the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. And I finally was able to be on the right path. And, sometimes you just need something to show you what to do. It's like this life is crazy as it is. And sometimes you need a guide and you need someone to point you in the right direction. And I just want Kai to point people in the right directions, whether it be you just be an ally for us, whether you just don't kick your child out because they're different than what you expected. You need to really just, when you're watching any film, you take into account of all their characteristics and, you take into account what happened in their past life. Everyone's got a story and everyone's got trauma that, that needs to be unpacked. So I think just people need to be kinder to each other. They need to listen more, need to stop implementing their ideas and opinions on all of other people. And just, listening is a very crucial way that we can achieve like world peace, because when people just talk over, someone who's trying to have them be understood, it just, there's going to be no progress. So I just want Kai to always be that topic starter conversation. Like, well, did you see this movie, Mom? Did you see this movie, Dad? Did you see this movie, brother, sister? Like, this is why I need you to respect me, because this is what I go through on a daily basis. Maybe not all of the things, because, everybody's stories are different, but this is basically what I go through. I can't look at myself in the mirror. I hate myself, like at times in my past, I thought I just couldn't find self-love at all. And it was very difficult when you got even more negative people, like more negative outside people coming in and bringing their opinions. So, I just want Kai to bring people together. And I think he does. He brought 5 random people who hated him. Well, maybe not Sawyer and Theo, because I feel like they had a special bond, all of them. But like, I was able to bring these people who probably would never hang out outside of this place together. And that's all I want to do outside, is bring people who would probably never, ever have a conversation to have a conversation, because that's all it takes is one conversation to heal something that you never thought was there. So.
Agreed. Yeah. And I was so happy to see that, that those characters, mostly Aspen and Levi, as you mentioned, were sort of forced to hang out with you and like forced to get to know you, which is the best way to sort of understand what someone is going through. And what I hope that people take away from Kai, or your portrayal of Kai and Relish, is I really want them to look at you and think to themselves that I can do that, and like I can be like that. Because just like you said, Kai was an advocate for himself, and he was resilient. So he knew where he was going, and he knew what he stood for, and he didn't let anyone sort of crush him. And of course, everyone has those moments where they get discouraged, but I feel like Kai like really brought himself back up quickly and was a very strong role model for people watching. So I'm so excited for people to see your portrayal of Kai because of that, for sure.
Oh, I'm really sweet. That's all I want. I'm really glad that you have been watching it and just have been loving it. Like that's all I want, is just people to love my performances. And granted, not all of my characters are going to be lovable in the future. So this character that people really loved and adored, I'm really grateful for, because I know one of these days I'm going to be playing some big rude jock who everybody hates. I'm going to be playing some crazy murderer. There's just all these crazy characters out there that I might have to portray one day that they might not like. So I'm just grateful that my first big role was someone who everyone cared about and loved and resonated with, because it's just something to look back on and smile all the time. It's like I could say that I helped lots of people with this character. So
Agreed. Yeah, I'm super excited. Okay, so moving on to product and brand, the category. So every year around this time, we see companies' logos going rainbow, but behind those rainbows are a variety of levels of support for the LGBTQIA community. So I wanted to ask you, which brands have caught your attention for providing meaningful support of the LGBTQ community through their pride efforts, and what are they doing differently from brands with less meaningful Pride Month branding?
So we're doing the brands that are on board with LGBT?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I have been doing some like little research, and I found 3 really high up stores that I didn't know were very pro LGBTQ and pro trans needs. Adidas has a long history of promoting LGBTQ communities and all of that, and they do a organization called Athlete Ally. So they make these shoes every Pride Month, and they sell them, and all the proceeds go to a certain, I think it's the Human Rights Foundation, I believe. And I'm just glad that they've been a consistent ally for us, and they do what they can to give where they should, not like other corporations that give them to anti-LGBTQ communities. Yeah. And then we got Apple, who had just made 2 new Apple Watches and is donating to the National Center for Transgender Equality. So I was like, dang, Apple, okay, I see you. Thank you for respecting us. Like, I just love because Apple's a huge, like, I'm on an Apple phone right now. Like, everything's Apple right now. So the fact that probably millions of dollars is going to this organization is astonishing. Like, it's very unheard of. I didn't really expect Apple to do that, to be honest, but I looked into it and they do.
Yeah.
And my favorite, Bath and Body Works, I love their candles, and they actually donated $1 million to the Human Rights Campaign, and they always aim to improve transgender rights, always. So those 3 companies really stood out to me, because I just think everybody loves Bath and Body Works. Apple is everywhere, and Adidas has been here for a while, and I've been wearing their shoes, and like, I didn't know that a lot of my proceeds were going to good organizations, and I really appreciate that. So I love, and they actually, when I see the ad campaigns too, like, they are good parallels. Like, they're promoting us and the right way, showing nice diversity of queer people wearing the shoes, and then showing where they donate to. It's like, that's how it should be. It's like, okay, you support us, just show us, give us the spotlight, donate the money. That's how it goes. That's very simple. If you just slap a rainbow on it and all of the proceeds are not going anywhere helpful, they're missing the mark. So I'm really glad that these 3 companies in particular, that, just so I don't go off the tangent of companies supporting, because there are a lot. Yeah, these 3 really took my fancy, if you would say so.
Yeah, oh my gosh, well, I'm so excited that you have brought those to light, because those are huge companies, just like you mentioned. I'm on an Apple computer right now, and I have an Apple phone, and I buy Apple products. So I also am happy that my proceeds, or my the products that I buy, the proceeds are going somewhere positive. So I'm really happy to hear that Apple and Adidas are doing something positive with their funds, and I'm really happy to hear that other brands are doing the same thing as well, because sort of we're evolving with time, and one after the other, brands are noticing what the others are doing. And just like I said about your portrayal of Kai and Relish, they look to the other brands and they say, I want to do that, I want to be that. And it's really a positive thing for them to do. Even though they're huge, it says something good about them. And I feel like having company morale behind the brand is something that people really, really look for. So.
Yeah, for sure. Totally.
Yeah, agree. Okay, and then I have another great example, actually. So Lego has a set called Everyone is Awesome, which I agree, everyone is awesome. And it was actually designed by Lego's group vice president of design. His name is Matthew Ashton. And the set is a rainbow-themed set that celebrates positivity and kindness in our families, communities, and our world. So what kind of conversation do you think this is starting with kids and their parents around the nation? And how do you feel that products like this are helping the LGBTQ plus awareness and inclusion? And since you mentioned Adidas and Apple, I'm not going to only limit it to kids. So go ahead and
No,
what do you think?
Lego is a huge, not just kids are doing Lego. Like Lego's widely known, and so many adults are making Lego, like towers. Like I went to the toy store in New York, and there was this a huge Lego section just filled with King Kong, this Empire State Building. So the fact that Lego made a whole set just to pretty much get a conversation going, because you have to tell your parent, like, hey, I want that, because adults can go buy it, so it's very easy for adults to go do that. But for children, unless they have allowances, they need to go and ask their parents. So it's like, if the kid goes over to it and the parents like, oh sweetie, why would you want that? There's that it's like, why not, mom? It's just, everybody is awesome. I'm awesome.
Yeah,
they're awesome. So it really does just start a conversation, because it also helps the child know, like, okay, this is where my mom stands with that. So if I have to come out later down the line, I'm going to remember this moment and plan it out, because it takes parents time to understand too, because they grew up in a society where it was a very black and white society with, gotta marry your man, get behind a white picket fence, and that's it. Have your kids, and then your life's over. But there's a lot more to it. Not everybody is straight. Obviously, not everybody identifies as one gender. So I believe gender is a social construct, very hard. So I just think Lego putting that step forward to also, it's such a small set, but it makes such a big impact. It really does at the end of the day, because it's helping families at home understand more and maybe do their research on their end, because not everybody is as close-minded as they used to be. They're very open to conversations now. I feel not as it might be hard at first, but I'm very open to people changing their minds and understanding that we're just humans just trying to live our life, as are you. Don't worry about what I'm doing, because trust me, you're not going to enjoy your life that way. You should worry about yourself, maybe get yourself that vacation you've been wanting. Don't go stand outside Pride just holding up a hate sign, because you're just wasting everyone's time. So just Lego doing that small little gift for the world really did a huge impact. I think they knew that too, and that's why I'm probably going to go buy it, just because I could keep it on my table as like a little paperweight.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that they do that kind of thing, just like you said, because it's something that would catch my eye in the store, and I'm always sort of excited to see companies putting their efforts out there, just like I mentioned. But I feel like another conversation that can start, just like you said, everyone is awesome. Look, it's especially important for kids to recognize that everyone is awesome, you are awesome, I am awesome, just like you said. But also sort of starting the narrative that, okay, this set is for Pride Month, targeted toward in respect to the LGBTQ community. And so I feel like the overall conversation is that we are all one and the same. And yeah, I really appreciate that. And it's something that's unspoken too. You just sort of buy the set and play with it, but we all sort of know what it's for. And then of course, if the ad campaign advertises it as well. I just think it's an overall amazing message, and I'm very ecstatic about it. So
I'm really excited to see where Lego goes from here, because they're gonna make maybe Pride float parades and down like little Lego sets. I just gave them an idea. But there's just so many things that they could do for this month, and even the whole year. Just I think selling it yearly. I think all products should be really sold yearly and just continuously just given the proceeds to organizations. It shouldn't just be geared to 1 month. I'm pretty sure they don't just gear it to 1 month. I believe maybe they make annual donations monthly, but again, you never know, because corporations just do things to get money and then they push it aside. So.
Right, and that's another conversation to be had for sure. You know, not extending it, not making it only to 1 month, because that's limiting everyone. I feel like the LGBTQ community should be recognized all year round, and sort of sometimes your logo going rainbow doesn't make a difference.
Yeah,
you're not sort of putting something out there in return.
Yeah, it doesn't do much, especially because recently I saw just a TikTok of this guy really just, like, I think he was a cop too, and that's even scarier. He was in Texas, and he was just going off how people of the LGBTQ community are freaks. They should be locked away. And then people wonder why we have pride, why we do these pride parades and everything. But at the same time, it's like we need to be out there protesting these things, because there are still people like that who want us dead. He thought the death penalty was necessary for people like me. It's like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. And that's the scary part, that people could still be hurt from just living. And I think media needs to really, and I think just pride needs to be a yearly thing. We deserve it. We need to keep fighting. We still got a long way to go, especially since it's still in our backyards. Like, it's not, it might be legal, to get married in America, but it's still like a lot of places, like a lot of states, you have to be careful.
Agreed. So. Yeah, and when someone has such a powerful voice, such as a law enforcement officer, sometimes it can influence people to also believe the same thing. So I agree with you there, that the media should really push the message of acceptance, so that people have their own opinion and their own idea before things like that are said, sort of in person, or sort of someone at a higher standing can tell them. They can have their own opinion, and sort of have respect for the LGBT community, because just like you said, everyone sort of needs to be taken care of, and people should not be being like prejudiced towards them, for sure. So yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my favorite category, which is film and television. So I'm going to be talking about a few shows that I've seen on Nickelodeon and Disney Channel that have made a very big impact so far. Okay, so an impactful effort that Nickelodeon has done for their viewers is to have a same-sex couple featured regularly on a cartoon series called The Loud House. And they're constantly part of the community, working in the community and supporting their son and his friendship with the lead character Lincoln Loud. And Nickelodeon has also featured a same-sex couple in a live-action show called The Astronauts, where they both played a significant role in moving the plot forward, with their daughter Sammy as the lead of the series. And Disney Channel has also done some efforts, including having a character in a show called Andy Mack come out as gay, and he was the first character to do so. So that was very exciting. And then another thing I saw on Nickelodeon last night, actually, is that there was a transgender boy who sort of told his story, and we got to see the character's reaction to that, and then they explained what being transgender means. So this is like a regular, like 8 o'clock every single week kind of show. Yeah, especially if they're watching with their parents. I was very excited to see that.
No, yeah, especially since the last pre-interview, we were talking about how just reaching the youth is the best form to get the message out there, and to just have the times change even quicker, because it starts with just kids figuring out themselves. It would be great to figure out yourself early, just to have all your cards laid out on the table for you, so you can come back to it and really figure yourself out. And the fact that Nickelodeon and Disney they're doing all these things, I'm super happy about, because I stopped watching it a lot because of these kids. Like, it's just, I'm more into the drama, I'm more into the murder mysteries and stuff like that. So I sadly haven't been doing my Nickelodeon watching anymore, but I have to get back into it, because I want to support all actors who are showing their story. And especially on Nickelodeon and Disney, I am so happy that they put a trans boy in there and actually explained everything. Like, where was that when I was growing up? Like, I needed that so badly, that I'm so grateful to be alive and see that change, because now men out there can finally figure themselves out if they need to. They can see where they're at. You know, you never know. And that's where that's all. Now I'm like all giddy with excitement, because it really does mean the most to me when, you know, my inner child is like, yes, I'm so happy for them, because that's where I would want to be if I was 13 again, watching all my favorite shows, and then some kid comes up and explains what I've been feeling for the past all my life, and it's just right there for me. So that makes my heart soar. I love seeing same-sex couples in my shows now, so like I can only imagine what it feels like for the kids watching it who are closeted and, you know, scared to come out. So that means the world to me. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I know. When I saw it, I had to do a double take. I was like, wait, what? I was so excited. So basically what he said is he's been living for a boy for 7 years because that's who he is. And so the characters just said, like, wow, that's really nice for you. They were very supportive about it. And then one of the characters said, oh, he's transgender. And then they asked the other character if they knew what that meant. And he said, yes, I do know what it means. It means when you don't identify with the gender that you're born with. And then they just left it there, because that's all you need to know. Like, that's all you need to know to start the conversation.
Yep. No weird questions. You just learn. And then if you want to Google later, you go Google later. But don't sit there and make that person feel weird by asking very personal questions. So, like, that's an amazing step forward for the Disney Nickelodeon community. That's huge. Very huge.
Yeah. So what kind of conversation do you think that's starting with kids and their parents? Because they're usually watching those kinds of shows together. And what kind of impact do you think it's going to make over time?
It's going to just, at the end of the day, the child is going to be able to look at their parents and just say, do you respect them? And then if they're like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Then they could be like, okay, great. I'm going to come out to you in a few days. Just give it some time. You know, like, just, they need to have just a game plan when coming out to people, you know, because it's, you know, everybody's got to take it, and then walk, you know, you take it how you hear it. You know, a lot of parents are different, so it really depends. Sometimes it could be negative. You know, a lot of the times kids can get the reaction they're not hoping for, but that can also be very helpful, because they can go about it as, I'm going to educate. And if I can't get anywhere that way, then we'll figure out where to go from there. But, you know, it's a 50-50 shot with the reactions and whatnot, but it needs to happen, because if you're just sitting there confused and you don't know and you're scared to come out, you'll never come out. But if you have something that's kind of setting off the conversation without you even having to do it, it's like a weight being lifted off your shoulder, because then, you know, if you ask the question, they're going to assume that that kid is what they asked, and that's not no. You know, they're figuring themselves out, so they just want to see if you are okay with that community. So if they are, they can let you know. You know, so the Nickelodeon needed to do this a while ago, but, you know, it's just the sign of times. It's now coming to the light way more. This generation's so much more inclusive. I think the hating age is dying off. It really is, because we don't tolerate that anymore. Yeah. Granted, you know, if you go to the wrong side of some Instagram posts, if you go to the wrong side of TikTok or all the social medias, there are bad sides to everything. So it's really where you put your energy. You know, these kids just now have a starting conversation without even having to do anything, which is needed, very much needed.
I agree, and I'm happy that you bring that up, because I didn't even think of that myself, even though it's completely true. Sort of having that hard conversation, it's a life-changing conversation, and there's a fear that you're not going to be accepted. And so I'm very, very excited to see this effort put forward. Like same-sex parents too, parents can see that and sort of understand. Oh, kids live with same-sex parents. Like it's just a thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
and I
just
bet
a normal thing.
they feel a sense of relief too, seeing themselves on film.
Yeah, I agree. The conversation is just continuously going, and I just hope it gets stronger and stronger from here, for sure.
It can only go up. It can't go backwards. We're not gonna make it go backwards. No, that's what Pride's about, and that's why we keep reminding people every single month that we're here, we're queer, we are not leaving.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think that's another reason why it's important for brands to be responsible, because Nickelodeon has been putting a good step forward over the past couple of years. From what I've noticed, they've covered a few diverse groups. They've covered the inauguration of President Biden. They're really good at educating kids on like bigger issues. So one thing they did was they covered Pride Month. And what they did was they just sort of explained the history of Pride Month and how it's celebrated now. And I thought it was nice because kids can sort of see it during a commercial break and be like, oh, it's Pride Month. We celebrate Pride Month this month. And it makes them included in the conversation.
Yeah, and not all kids, are going to be part of the community. We just need allies. That's all we need, really. Dang, it's not hard to be a human being and show human decency and just respecting people. That's all that matters. Unless you give me a reason not to respect you, I'm going to respect you. And that's how it should be. But my personal life and my identity shouldn't be the reason you don't respect me, because I'm not doing anything to hurt you, to harm you, to convert you. That's not happening. I'm just over here figuring out myself. And I hope that you do the same, but not a lot of people have that mindset. So it's all these conversations are just needed nowadays, because we still have some people who are small-minded, and when they don't understand, they fear it. And when you fear something, your instant reaction is to attack it and to judge it and to humiliate it. So it's like we're coming out of the light very slowly, but it's a good pace. It's not like molasses. It's happening very quickly over the span of years. So I'm just really excited for this future is where we're gonna go and how our generation is gonna look 10, 15 years from now.
Agreed. We're going to be so strong by then. Yeah. And I'm just looking forward to seeing it, because just like you said, there's constant change throughout the years, and we were a lot more conservative before, and the messaging on being transgender or identifying as LGBTQ was sort of looked down upon, or in media especially, it was sort of laughed at. And now we're sort of bringing it full circle and telling people, like, no, that's not where we stand. We are people. We are to be respected. And it's important for people around the nation to hear those voices. And we're just learning more and more every day. And something that I think was really important is that when you were portraying Kai and Relish, you sort of had to teach the characters how to accept you, which is something that I noticed, because they didn't know before. They had their preconceived judgments.
Mm-hmm. They really did have all their preconceived judgments, for sure. And for Kai, what I'm glad is that, you were able to understand what being a trans man was in that film without Kai even having to explain it. Mm-hmm. He explained it through his actions, like what being me meant. It's just struggling. But at the end of all that struggle, you find just such power in yourself after just going through all those obstacles. Every person out there who just doesn't understand is an obstacle. And if you come out on the other side, somewhat okay, you made it, you did your job, it's they took their time, but like as anybody would, when you don't educate people on the subject and you don't put it in film and media and you don't show it from a very young age, then you throw it in their face when they're 20 or 25, it could be a little jarring because they don't understand. They were never taught it. So it's like, oh, what? But now that people are getting clear Google translations in film, it's like, there you go. It is laid out for you. Do not ask this person any more questions, please. You want to look it up? Look it up. And that's what they want you to do, I think putting that seed in their brains so they can go off and do their own research is what's needed. But at the same time, you can find bad research on anything. It's the internet. People who are conservative are going to put out false information about us for no reason. But it's allowed because I don't know how the internet works, but that's allowed to happen, putting out false information about the community. So, some parents just need to do research with their kids so they don't find the wrong thing. So they, are looking at this and like, oh no, I don't want my child to do this. And, it's really, it's the family's time to just come together and figure it out themselves, because it should be very easy to accept your child, obviously, but not everybody has that mindset. Everybody is different. And some people have a very good reaction from their parents. Some people need a little bit of time to just educate them. Some are just toxic and it takes years. And I know some of my friends who took a lot of time to just educate their family because they didn't want to lose them. And if you know that you can change their minds by education, do that first. I never want to say, leave your family because, they're not, it's worth it if you can just show them what's right and what's wrong. And if that's, that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Agreed. Yeah, and speaking of sort of starting the conversation and educating people, can you talk about a certain ad campaign, television show, or film that has given you hope for the LGBTQ community now, or has given you hope throughout the years?
When I first saw Pose come out, that really fluttered my heart. When seeing all those beautiful trans women have their own show and showing their own stories, like that, just seeing their ad pop up every time for a new episode every week, I was like, yes, flippin' yes, because they're not just these amazingly talented actresses, they're beautiful trans women who have never been properly represented ever, and now they're finally getting that representation. And young kids are going to see that, everybody's seeing that. So it's like, I still just, when I first saw it, I was like so ecstatic and electrifying. It was a crazy feeling to just see such great representation of my community on TV. Yeah. And their show was amazing. Oh my goodness, India Moore, I want to work with her so badly. Like, they are all just such amazing actresses, and just seeing them pop up every single week, just doing their jobs and just enjoying life and making money for things that they're dang well good at. I'm just living life and being free and living in a spotlight finally, like they deserve it. They really do deserve it. And I feel like any ad or a trailer that involves a queer person that just can't just gives them the spotlight, I have hope for, because we haven't had that representation ever in the past. This is a brand new era of acceptance, respect, and understanding and listening. So the fact that we have all these beautiful queer trans men and women up in posters on billboards, just working, showing their beautiful colors everywhere, that gives me hope all the time. Just seeing these beautiful people in my community just working and doing what they love, I'm living for it.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that, because that's their spotlight. That's your spotlight. Finally, you're getting it,
Everybody deserves a spotlight. If you love what you do, you deserve to do it. There's no one should hold you back from that. What? No one. Not even yourself. Yourself, you shouldn't tell yourself that you can't do something, because trust me, you can. Like, I know I can't play the guitar right now, but I can play the guitar if I practiced and learned. You know, it's all about just putting yourself in the right mindset and then just taking the first leap of faith. It's just a leap of faith. It's all it takes.
Yeah. Speaking of television, so what parallels do you see between the representation of the LGBTQ community in film and television versus in advertising?
Film's a way more educational platform, I feel, when advertisement, it's just a quick, I want you to buy my product, and then that's it. You know, film, you have these actors who are portraying these emotions and showing you real life stories from different perspectives of different people of the community, of, you know, possibly their own life. You know, a lot of, like, you can't really get the whole message across with an advertisement. Maybe you can, sometimes you can, because some commercials, like there was, like, for instance, there was this gum commercial that made my heart cry every time I saw this couple, you know, connect over this piece of gum. You know, sometimes they could be very good at what they do. So I think just putting the right message out in advertisements, and, you know, because if you're going to show an ad for Pride Month and you want to support it for your brand, like, let's say for Adidas, for example, I would want to see all diverse people of LGBTQ community wearing the shoes, just, you know, saying how just wearing them makes them feel more courageous than they already are. You know, those, you know, very deep, intimate campaigns that, you know, not just show the shoe, but they show the struggles that these people have gone through and that everybody's going through in the community. You know, they need to, they're similar, film and advertisement, but they can be very different at the same time, because you can't get the full message across in advertisements. Sometimes you can. Sometimes it's too quick, and I know you just want me to buy your Apple Watch, you know?
Yeah.
But I think some advertisements really do hit the nail on the head when it's like a little bit longer. It looks like a short film and you can see the product, but it's not really about the product right now. It's about the month and it's about the history. We're just supporting them with this item. And film, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. Were you going to go ahead?
Oh, no, that was just going to repeat that. And film, you know, you just get the whole rundown of everything. You can see the stories laid out for you, and then next week you see what happens next. But, you know, for ads, they really need to be careful and, you know, pinpoint everything so they get the right message across.
No, I agree. And advertisements sort of are working to be shorter and shorter now with, like, YouTube and ads on Snapchat and things. So it has to be a very concise message, but just like you said, sometimes they can hit it right on the head, and sometimes they can't say everything. But when they do say the right thing in that, like, short amount of time, it's just like magic, you know?
Some ads make me cry. Like, that's what I want to feel during Pride Month. I want a sense of joy, relief, and sadness, because we still have a lot of work to do, but we've still come a long way. And I think that's how every advertisement should be for Pride Month, because we still have a lot of work to do, but we, you know, we should party for the accomplishments that we've made, because we have come such a long way from the just been hiding under the iceberg, so to speak. You know, we've come such a long way, and it's due to the media, it's due to advertisements, and that's all. It starts there because, you know, that's a platform. It reaches a wider community. But like I said in the pre-interview, Marsha P. Johnson did not work her butt off just so we can, you know, forget to fight. We have to remember to just keep pushing these ads to make a better statement, pushing film to, you know, cast the right people for your stories. You know, you wouldn't cast a white man to play a black role. That's not how we do it anymore. And I think that's valid when it comes to LGBTQ stories. You don't hire someone who just, you know, when we have a person who could literally do the role perfectly because they've experienced it. No, I'm going to use this person because she's a name and, you know, I can make money off them. And that's sadly what Hollywood's become. If you're a name, you're in. But, you know, I know that that's also changing. It's going to take a little bit longer, but I know they're going to give a lot more people the spotlight when they act, because talent speaks more than numbers on your Instagram or numbers on your TikTok. It's like, what can you do to make the audience remember you? Because I'm not just, you know, I know that like Kai really, that's why I really wanted Kai to just let everybody feel a sense of comfort around him in a sense. Like, yeah, granted, he was a little resilient in the beginning, but he was going through those obstacles. So there was this, it's just funny. It was a funny meme, but it's a very true meme. Like corporations, they really do just stop talking about Pride after Pride Month. They just push it under the radar. Like, okay, we'll put the rainbow back on next year. But like, I just really think they should keep pushing these Pride campaigns every single month, because it's not just 1 month. It's not like, granted, I mean, I don't think there should be, like, for serious topics, like, I think it should be year round. Like Juneteenth, I think that we should be also celebrating that year round, because like that was a huge milestone for the Black community, and it needs to be talked about more, because I never knew about it in school. They didn't teach me that, because, you know, school doesn't teach you well. So it starts with education, it starts with the media, it starts with advertisements, just giving people the right spotlight and giving people that time to tell their story. It's very needed, and it's happening more and more in this light, and I'm really excited to see where we are in a few years.
Yeah, so as companies continue to sort of tell the narrative about the LGBTQ community, what sort of causes would you like to see companies supporting?
I just the Human Rights Campaign, you know, the National Center for Transgender Equality, the Trevor Project, just all the campaigns that support us. You know, I don't care, like, I do care where you're putting the money for Pride, but it's like, it's not that difficult. There's like 20,000 organizations for us, and to do the right thing. So I just really hope in the future the ads, they're monthly, they're not just 1 month, and they're just putting the proceeds where they need to put it. And I really hope that we stop corporations who are falsely advertising Pride Month and putting it towards anti-LGBT funds, because I believe that is criminal. That is false. You are falsely bringing my community into your shop, because we're thinking that you're putting money to where it should be. But at the same time, now the internet, you know, it's very widely known. You could just type it in. It's like, okay, does this company actually donate? And then you can see, and then you can take into effect afterwards. But we shouldn't have to do that. If you put a rainbow on something, you should be putting that money towards organizations that respect us. So I really hope that becomes unjust, because I really feel like that's very criminal. You're taking money from people who believe that you're doing something right for us, when you're putting it towards funds that, you know, want to harm us physically and mentally. That needs to stop. I really hope those companies and corporations just stop supporting. Just don't put a rainbow on your product. Just stop it. Just don't support us. If you don't support us, just, okay, we have a lot of other companies who will. You know, falsely advertising, I think, really needs to be looked into more.
I want to talk a little about the flag. So Gilbert Baker created the rainbow flag in 1978 at the request of the San Francisco City Supervisor and LGBTQ activist Harvey Milk. And the flag was debuted right here in California at the San Francisco Gay Freedom Day Parade in the same year. So somewhere that marketers are currently missing the mark is not only that the LGBT community is evolving, but so is the flag that represents them. So in recent years, the flag has been modified to include trans individuals, people of color, as well as those living with AIDS, people who are no longer living, and the stigma surrounding them. Other flags include the transgender flag, no binary flag, and a flag for people like me, that is the straight ally flag. So with that said, there's a much bigger conversation to be had here. So how do you hope that the marketing space as a whole will extend its reach in the future to recognize and show appreciation for Pride throughout the years, so that more voices can be heard and more conversations can be started around the impact of how far we've come as well?
Right. Just the information you just told me, they need to do their research and see where the flag originated, how it looked in the beginning, and where it is now. You know, you can have the original flag up there along with the newly updated flag. That shows like a good, you know, it just shows that you're up to date with where we're at. Yeah. And along with all the other flags of the LGBTQ community, like just putting all of them up on your store would make a huge difference. You know, the flag is changing like we're always evolving. So it can be a little overwhelming, but you know, you got to do your research, and that's just where it comes down to. If you're just lazy and just you think the rainbow represents us all, you're not really an ally. You haven't seen that our flag has updated tremendously, and it looks amazing, gotta say. We have a lot of corporations just don't do their research, and you know, they just instantly do the quickest thing to just make the easiest money. But when you have real companies that show the real flag and maybe the old flag and, you know, the trans flag, all the flags, that's when you know you're in the right place. But again, it can be overwhelming because, you know, there is a lot of flags. And sometimes I remember someone bought a flag thinking that it represented everyone. You're like, yeah, I got the LGBTQ flag. I was like, that's just for lesbians, but you really tried. I'm so happy. You know, like people try, they don't know. And sometimes the internet scares people and they don't know how to use it. And it's like valid. I still don't know how to use my phone or a computer at all. So it really, it's just, you know, as long as you do your research and you know that the flag is updated and you know where the flag has come from, what it means, what it stands for, what each flag really stands for, because there's a lot, and there's a lot of communities to do education on. You know, I was introduced to non-binary 2 years ago, and I did a lot of research because I wanted to educate myself. I was not aware that this was a thing, because I too was very new to the community, just coming out of the gates and whatnot, and, you know, transitioning. It was a lot. So I'm still learning so much about my own community as well. So, you know, even us in the community, we're still educating ourselves because we're still grasping this whole gender social construct business. You know, we're dismantling that because it's not just men and women anymore. It's not. And people need to realize that. They do. It is a social construct. I can't explain it, but like, because I'll be here all week. But, you know, we're evolving so much, and I'm so happy that I'm along for the ride.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. And just like you said, it's so easy for a company to like throw a rainbow logo, a rainbow like behind their logo, or even make their logo into a rainbow. But at some point, it's not true anymore. And it's sort of universal too during Pride Month. But, you know, I feel like at one point someone is going to say, hey, what is that? So that's not the updated flag. Your company needs to represent the updated flag. And that's something that we as marketers need to pay attention to, is community voices, because that's our audience. So I feel like talking to someone like you is the perfect opportunity to put that message out there, to sort of ask companies to sort of change their ways over time, and feature the flag more in their advertising. Just like you said, make it a year-round thing, because cisgender straight is a year-round thing, you know? And
sometimes a lot of people inside the LGBTQ community do not accept trans men and women. It's known that we are shunned a lot, and because they also don't understand it. It's very hypocritical. It's a very hypocritical situation that a lot of the trans community is kind of dealing with right now, because back in the day, it was just the lesbian and gay pride. You know, we weren't invited until Marsha P. Johnson, you know, walked up and was like, hey, I'm doing this for y'all. I was in the same position that you are in. What's the hypocrisy here, you know? We're still being taught about in our community as well. So I just went to actually a bar last night after work, because I just, you know, you need it. And there was the non-updated flag and a transgender flag. So it's like, you know, they tried, you know, they did their best. It's a gay bar too. So it's like, you know, I think that they're still educating themselves. And I might even just say, hey, you know, we have an updated flag that has, you know, the trans colors on it, you know, people of color, and, you know, everything else. I think that might help you guys so you don't have to do two flags. I was thinking of saying that, but, you know, my nerves took over. I was like, I don't want to tell the manager what to do, but, you know, it's interesting to see, you know, gay bars also not really be up to date, or, you know, any LGBTQ friendly bar. Sometimes they're not up to date either. And you really just have, because also sometimes the manager maybe is just an ally. You never know what the situation is, but, you know, sometimes you also have to tell LGBTQ bars, like, hey, we got to update that flag. We updated it. You know, we got to do this, we got to do that, because we're still educating ourselves too, because there's so many more people coming into our community. And granted, we love people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. You know, I feel like I understand what you mean for sure. There's a fear of judgment everywhere for sure, and that's why we need to start the conversation in the media, so you don't have to say it. Companies have to be able to take that first step and educate people, because there is a lot of research to be done, and there's a lot out there, and they can do their research. So to make themselves look good, first of all, you put your right foot forward and you put the correct message out there. And then, second of all, to support the community around you, you make sure that everybody knows, just like Nickelodeon is doing with kids.
Yep.
So one day you're going to see the correct flag up when you go to that bar.
Oh, yeah.
Because one day they're going to realize, okay, the wrong flag has been on the wall the whole time.
It's like, I forgot there were flags outside. Did you guys remember that? I also think that they forgot that there were flags outside that are just hanging there, so they could have forgotten.
Yeah, I agree. But, you know, it takes people like you to take a stance. And just that you had that consideration in mind is something positive. And I feel like other people should have the same consideration. And there actually used to be sort of this campaign in the 90s. It was called The More You Know. And so this is sort of the same thing. The more you know for everything. People just need to be educated, and the media needs to take the first step, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, so the LGBT community representation is being highlighted on a variety of platforms, and the reach goes further as society as a whole evolves the LGBTQ community. So what do you think that the current narrative is about the LGBT community in the media, and where do you think the narrative is headed in the future?
And what was the last part? Where do you think?
The narrative is headed in the future.
Well, the narrative right now, I believe, is all about open, honest communications and just loving yourself, trying to, like, I just know that the media is trying to implement, you know, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to come out and be gay. It's okay if you're figuring out yourself still. It's okay if you're 50 years old and you just figured yourself out. You know, like, I think the narratives right now are just telling people, hey, it's okay to be you. Don't worry, because we got your back regardless of whoever else doesn't. And I think in the future, we're going to get to a place where it's going to be so normal to see same-sex couples and trans men just explaining their lives, and, you know, trans women just, you know, having boyfriends and going through breakups, you know, doing the normal teenage girl thing because they are normal girls. And it's going to get to a point where it's just going to be normal conversation. I think we're in a place right now where we're educating, we're just discussing it. And the narrative is going to go to a place where we're just going to talk about it, and it's going to be so normal, no one's going to question anything because they already know. So it's just all about education right now. I feel that the narrative is specifically.
Okay, and also, can you please talk about an ad campaign that you found that missed the mark on representing the LGBT community in your eyes, and where they could have improved?
See, this one I was a little like iffy with, because I don't think that they are doing this anymore, being that they kind of got caught in the past. In 2019, there was think it had to do with Walmart and Home Depot and all those big time corporations. They would sell Pride clothes and, you know, maybe some Pride gear, maybe some things in the plant shop, but they would take the proceeds and sell and give it to anti-LGBTQ politicians, like to add for their, like, to reimburse for their campaigns and whatnot. So just, I believe, because I haven't really seen any ads too much that have made me go, what is that? Because I just think my eyes have been in the right places. I haven't really seen any campaigns that made me go, okay, I'm going to email them because I am that pissed. Because I think everybody is grasping, because Hollywood is very, you know, everybody can kind of talk to everyone like, hey, this is not good. You don't want to upset the community. You'll get a really big backlash with this X, Y, and Z. So luckily, I have not seen any campaigns. I would love to know if you've seen any campaigns that haven't hit the mark, because luckily my eyes have just been towards the good ones. Sometimes it does discourage me if I were to see something negative about my community in an ad. But when I think of it being negative, I just think, you know, they're just putting the money in the wrong places when they just, you know, they're not talking about anything about Pride. They're just explaining this rainbow product that's new for Pride Month. Like, yeah, celebrate Pride Month with Starbucks rainbow coffee cup.
Mm-hmm.
Like those kind of ads would not do well for me, because it's like, that's, what am I selling? What? Am I celebrating up the rainbow? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's the ones who are quick and just want you to buy the product and mention Pride, you know, celebrate Pride, but buy this. Okay, bye. Those don't hit the mark for me. Like we were discussing before, how campaigns that have a little bit of a feel, like you feel something and you might cry too, because, you know, it's not about the product. I mean, yes, it's about the product, but that's not what they're trying to focus on. We're focusing about the history of Pride right now. And these shoes are just going to help fund their future and their lives, period. But, you know, I think, you know, some quick ads can miss the mark because it's too quick. And, you know, we don't know what we're celebrating if it's just a rainbow coffee cup, you know? Agreed.
Yeah, it's not enough to just say, celebrate Pride, Starbucks.
Look, I don't know if Starbucks did that. I'm just using them as reference.
No, agreed. I know. As far as ad campaigns that I've seen that might have missed the mark, not any that I can think of, but when I was doing my research, I did see a Jeep commercial, and what they did for their representation of the LGBT community is that they included just a gay couple with a child, and it was just sort of like a nod to the community. So it's not like they missed the mark. I just feel like they could have done more and sort of centered the ad around that couple, maybe.
Mm-hmm. I think I know what commercial you're talking about. I remember this commercial, actually, now that I think about it, which they wanted you to know, like, yeah, we support you kinda by putting the same-sex couple in really, really quickly. Like, it was very quick shots of people just living their lives. And it was a very quick motion of these two guys in a hot tub, and he just scoots by him and he puts his arm around him. It was very quick. Like, you could barely like make it out, because if you shut your eyes for a second, you'd miss it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you missed it, buddy. You missed it. Like, I don't remember if it was like for liquor or for the Jeep commercial or for a car. It was for... It was not, okay, no, I lied. I don't remember, but I just know that those ads would just show you really quickly just to get it out of the gate. So like me, the customer, oh, they showed a same-sex couple. We should buy that product, you know? Like, they are missing the mark so much, because just showing these beautiful gay men are not going to make me buy the product. You got to educate me about the history first, because I want my money to go in the right place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed. That's something that they can do for sure. If they work on it, if they strategize, they put sort of a concept together, they can do it.
Yeah.
You take the time out, and because the final product is going to be final, and so whatever message is out there sticks. So yeah, either they need to do better, or not say anything at all sometimes.
Yeah, better not to say much. Just don't say anything.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, you're such a powerful voice, and not just for the LGBTQ community, but for everyone. And I cannot wait to see you use your voice in future products. So please tell our audience what they can look forward to seeing you in next, and share something that you'd like to leave us with.
Yeah, sure. I am actually in an upcoming documentary about an amazing jazz musician. His name was Billy Tipton, who just so happened to be a trans man back in the late 60s, 70s. And actually, before I even, got that audition to even show up for him, I was listening to his music a lot. And ironically, I got asked to be part of this documentary, and how he and his music has inspired me. And like, you can see that probably within this year or by 2022. I'm not too sure when it's releasing, but you could see so many amazing trans men in there. My good friend Marcus, who's also an actor, he's amazing. He's in there. He's got more of a spotlight because he's just an amazing actor. He's been in a lot of amazing projects. I'm also in the version of Highland Park. It's quite a small role, but my character does push the story along for the characters. It's about a young girl who gets very shocking news that she's pregnant, and afterwards it's just a whole spiral. It's a very big twist. I think it was needed for that time frame. It's going to be a very good topic discussion kind of film. So I think also you could see that probably by 2022. Again, don't take my word for it, because it's in post-production still because of COVID and whatnot. And yeah, other than that, I have been also lucky enough to be featured in Justin Ward's film very quickly in Furry Fortune. I was a delivery man, and it was really sweet. I loved being back on set after so long of not being on it. I'm going to promote Furry Fortune because Justin's an amazing director, and I'm so excited to see what he's created. And yeah, that's it. Other than that, I've just been auditioning, just, trying to survive like anybody else would in this industry, in this world. And I would love to just leave you guys on, don't limit yourselves to anything. You can do anything you set your mind to. I hope that everybody fulfills all their dreams, goals, and passions, because, this life's short. You deserve to see it all, experience it all, and just have your life be filled with love and happiness.
Yeah. So thank you so much again, Tyler. You can catch Tyler in Relish on Amazon, linked in the description below. And I will also be speaking to the director of Relish, Justin Ward. So be sure to look out for that next podcast episode interview called Storytelling. And I want to thank you so much again, Tyler. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
It was great talking to you. I can't thank you enough for wanting to discuss everything with me.
Of course. Thank you.